Iniimbestigahan na ng kapulisan ng pagkasawi ng isang grade 7 student sa loob mismo ng campus ng Rizal Technological University sa Mandaluyong. Kinumpirma sa DZRH News ni Police Brigadier General Wilson Asueta na pinoproseso na ng Mandaluyong City Police ang nasabing kaso ng 12 anyos na binatilyo. Nauna nang kinumpirma ng RTU ang insidenteng nangyari sa loob ng kanilang pamantasan noong Oktubre 19. Lumalabas sa mga viral post online na tumalon mula sa ika-6 na palapag ng isang gusali sa RTU ang junior high school student matapos ang umano'y pangyayari sa loob ng klase na kanyang ikinaramdam. Pero mag-iisang linggo matapos ang pagyao ng grade 7 student, wala pang inilalabas sa police report ng Mandaluyong hinggil sa insidente.
We just watched a news regarding a grade 7 student who jumped off the window and commit suicide. Allegedly, their teacher told them that during the exam they can open their notes. But then, when the teacher caught him opening his notes, he is being sanctioned and suspended for 5 days. Then, his initial reaction is to jump off the window and escape the reality.
Important information about the discovery. What is the discovery? How was it discovered? Who are the contributors? One important environment for preventing suicide is schools. Teachers, mental health professionals, and any other school personnel who work with students in the classroom have a big part to play in the ensuring their safety. Taking a holistic approach is the greatest method to prevent suicide. The mental well-being of students can have an impact on their academic performance. All school personnel at the school have an obligation to support each student's emotional health and sense of community. One of the main goals of your school is to keep the campus secure. They must recognize students who might be suicidal risk, help them seek assistance, and be ready to act in the event that a suicide happens, since nobody knows who in the world truly suffers.
Burrhus Frederic Skinner, B.F. Skinner, an American psychologist, behaviorist, author, inventor, and social philosopher, considered the father of behaviorism. Skinner saw human action as dependent on consequences of previous actions, a theory he would articulate as the principle of reinforcement. If the consequences to an action are bad, there is a high chance that action will not be repeated. If the consequences are good, the probability of the action being repeated becomes stronger. Letter B. Are there any issues or controversies about it? Negative reinforcement involves the removal or avoidance of an aversive stimulus to strengthen a behavior, increasing the likelihood of that behavior in the future. Skinner's work on operant conditioning and reinforcement has had a significant impact on psychology and behaviorism. The references provided are from some of his key works, but Skinner's ideas are discussed and elaborated upon in various publications throughout his career. In the case of that grade 7 child, he used the negative reinforcement in a wrong way. He jumped off the window and committed suicide, thinking that he can have an escape to what had happened, and thinking that it is already the end of the world because of the 5-day suspension.
The student who committed suicide, it makes parents more cautious and concerned about their children's well-being, whether at school or at home. Positive or negative reinforcement might be utilized with completely different consequences, and when used properly, it may be an effective tool for learning. We can see how the consequences of a person's actions may affect their behavior in the future when we understand the effects of positive and negative reinforcement. Both positive and negative reinforcement exist in increasing the possibility that a behavior will occur again in the future. When a reward is given after a specific behavior is performed, it might motivate a person to do good, making it more likely to happen again in the future. Positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement. It will enhance a person's specific behavior because the negative consequence has been removed or avoided, increasing the likelihood of that specific behavior occurring again in the future. Operant conditioning can be used in the current time and can be applied in everyday situations such as job, education, and relationships. Parents can use operant conditioning for helping their children become productive by rewarding them when they do something positive or complete their homework. This can also encourage their children to behave themselves properly. It can also be used in the workplace to enhance productivity and employee morale by praising an employee for consistent excellent performance. It can also be used in school. Teachers can affect students' behavior by implementing or employing operant conditioning, such as awarding students with a star for good academic performance. Operant conditioning techniques can be used by anyone to encourage or discourage particular actions in their relationships. However, it may be difficult to distinguish between positive and negative reinforcement, which might cause problems at times.
The prevalence of suicide among students caused by a teacher applying the negative reinforcement of B.F. Skinner, it could be possibly that a teacher removed an unpleasant thing from the student that could reinforce suicide. And the more the teacher mentioned about the preventing students from their suicidal tendencies, it more likely to increase the suicide attempts of the students.
As a group, we can say that inside the classroom, operant conditioning is a big help for teachers to motivate learners, but with proper guidance and moderation is needed. As a professional teacher, I can say that operant conditioning is very helpful, especially to motivate and get the interest of my learners. Giving them rewards like praises, gifts, stamps, also punishment if they did something wrong. Like what happened to the case of that grade 7 learner, the teacher used the word open notes during their examination. And then this word excites the learners, only to find out that the teacher is just kidding aside. When the teacher caught the learner copying from his notes, the teacher allegedly sanctioned and gave 5 days suspension to the learner. Because of this, the learner's initial reaction is to run and jump off the window, and this caused his death.